Okay, so again we will be solving page 60, number 69. Okay, the problem states that flywheel is not the frictional torque causing the flywheel to stop is not actually proportional to the first power of the angular velocity. Now, as an example, we have given the initial expression of the torque. Let torque be the symbol like this, okay, equal to this, given by the following expression: 1 over 10 times 7.5 plus omega squared over 4,000. Omega is the symbol for angular velocity. Now, this torque shows only that it's not proportional to the first power. However, as you can see here, this is second power and half the power. Given the following conditions, this torque is measured in accordance with when omega, or the angular velocity, is greater than 0 and is less than 100 rod per minute, and then this one here is less than 1000 but greater than 100 rod per minute. Now the question of the problem is that we are going to express the angular velocity omega in terms of time t using this expression or amount of torque prescribed with the following interval of the angular velocity. So we are also testifying the time at which the omega, or the angular velocity, will become 0. That is, the flywheel will stop. Okay, so we are tasked to find expression using this one, and then the time it takes for the flywheel to stop. Now let's start. We will start with this expression here, since we are given with the initial condition that omega naught, or the initial angular velocity, is equal to 1000 rod per minute. Okay, so we have from Newton's law, that is in torsional form, we can have torque, the symbol, is equal to the moment of inertia times the angular acceleration. Now from physics, we learned that this expression I times the angular acceleration is equal to the first derivative of your angular velocity with respect to time. This one now can be used as our intermediate step to express omega in terms of time t. Okay, actually this is a connection of number 68, wherein we are asked to find an expression of omega in terms of t, and using the expression given with the amount of the retarding torque, we're going to find again expression for omega. Since we have it already, we will start with torque is equal to d omega over dt times moment of inertia, this is the angular acceleration, is equal to 1 over 10 times 7.5 plus omega squared over 4,000. 4,000, yes, 4,000. So let's begin. We have here, we simplify that one. We have d omega over dt equals, then divide both sides by the I. So we have that's 0.75 plus omega squared over 4,000. This is I. Now further, we have 30,000 plus omega squared equals 4,000 I d omega vt. Okay, so we have now a separable equation. This, we put it down, so the resulting equation will be this one here. resulting equation go look like this: d omega over 30,000 plus omega squared equals this is 1 over I, okay? That is dt over 40,000 I. Okay. Now we also forgot that we have given by the book, according to the book, we are given some initial conditions. I is equal to 7.5 pound feet second squared. Now look at the initial given. This is a minute and this is a second. We are going to convert this one into minute or either this one into second to have a coherence in units. So by conversion we get 1 over 480 pound foot minute squared. So now this is a minute, and this quantity is what we're going to use. Also remember that the retarding torque is the one that causes the flywheel to stop. So before expressing the torque equals I times alpha, this angular acceleration here is a deceleration, since this retarding torque opposes the motion of the flywheel in order for it to stop. So therefore, deceleration, we can denote this one as negative d omega over dt, and we equate it with the expression of the torque. Okay, so either of the two, you must put a negative sign. So we will put a negative sign here to denote that it is a deceleration. Okay, so we are reconciled already, so we continue to solve. Now this is just a simple separable equation, and we integrate both sides of the equation, and we get, now this is a tan inverse function. Now this is just square root, we multiply it by 1 over square root of the 30,000. Now the square root of 30,000 will be 100 square root of 3, right? So 100 square root of 3 tangent inverse of omega, this is omega, okay, 100 square root of 3 equals, this is negative t, then your I is 480, so you have 480 t over 40,000, okay? And don't forget the c, the constant of integration. So we simplify first. Tan inverse omega over 100, okay, equals this one we multiplied here, and if we reduce this one and multiply with this one, the result will be, using your calculators, we get negative 6 square root of 3 over 5 t, and then the c multiplied by another constant, still c. Okay, not to confuse, we have the c1 and multiplied by this constant, we get c. And then next step is to find the value of c using the initial conditions given. The initial condition is that at t equals 0, we have the initial angular velocity equal to 1000 rad per minute. So we are going to substitute 1000 rad per minute here, and then t equals 0, and this function, term here will be equal to 0. So c is just equal to the tan inverse of 1000 divided by 100, we have 10 over square root of 3. That's it. Now using your calculators, compute for the value of this one. But the value of this one, before computing, you should put your calculator in radian mode. So this is supposed to be equal to almost 1.399 dot. Okay, so we approximate c to be, okay, just erase first, Okay, we approximate C to be equal to 1.40. And now, since we get C, we are now going to substitute it to our solution. So we have tan inverse omega over 100 square root of 3 is equal to negative 6 square root of 3 over 5 t. Okay, plus 1.40. Okay, we are tasked to find again omega in terms of t. So we have this one omega. We take the inverse function tangent. Tangent of tan inverse is just k1, and then we get also the tan function of here. So we have, and then we're left with over 100 square root of 3. We multiply it to the other side. 100 square root of 3. It could be now tangent quantity of 1.40 minus 6 square root of 3 over 5 t. This is now the equation. This is now the equation that we're finding for. That is when omega is less than to its initial condition 1000 and greater than to 100 as specified by the problem. Now the problem is we are also going to find, this is the time, at this time we have here that t greater than 0, greater than what? At what time will your angular velocity be equal to 100? And that's what we're going to find out by just equating this expression here equal to 100 to find the time it takes for omega to approach 100. And then that will be the interval that you can only use this equation, the interval of time that you can only use this expression of omega. Okay, so when I try to express this, you have 100 over 100 square root of 3, and then tan inverse is equal to minus 1.40 equals t, and this whole expression divided by negative 6 square root of 3 over 5. Okay, so the result is that t is equal to 0.42 using your calculators and then in radian mode. So now we can use the equation in terms of, we have omega equals 100 square root of 3 tangent of 1.40 minus 6 square root of 3 over 5 t. Okay, when t is greater than 0 but is less than 0.42. This is just the preliminary or the first equation that omega is expressed in terms of t with the given expression or quantity of the retarding torque. Okay, now let's go to the next question. Next question, we have torque is equal to square root of omega over 10. Now finally this is equal to negative d omega over dt times di, right? Okay, now we finally have a separable equation. D omega equals square root of omega equals this is equal to negative dt over 10i. Now finally we integrate both sides, and we have 2 square root of omega equals, so this I here is equal to 1 over 480, so that becomes only 480 over 10 times negative t, okay, and that becomes square root of omega equals 24, negative 24. We have also here plus c, t plus c, okay. Next task is to find now the c. Now take note that we started with omega to be less than 100 and to be greater than 0. So our initial omega here will be 100, and the time that the angular velocity or the omega will be equal to 100 is the one we've solved a while ago, which is 0.42 minutes. So by solving using those values, we can now get the value of c, okay. So further solving, we have here square root of 100 is equal to negative 24 times 0.42, right, plus c. Now the c is equal to, using your calculators again, key in, just we have 20.1 approximately. So there's no problem, we just substitute the c here and then solve for omega in terms of t. That's it. We can now get the expression for omega in terms of the time t. So may I rewrite the equation with c, with the input of c. Square root of omega equals 20.1 minus 24 t, okay. Now finally omega is equal to 20.1 minus 24 t squared. This is when the time is greater than 0.42, and that is the time at the omega, wherein omega will be less than 100 and greater than 0. Now we have to answer now the question that when will omega or the angular velocity be equal to 0. So we use again this formula to find the time t, so that to find the time t that will correspond to the value of angular velocity equal to 0. Now further we have to solve 0 equals 20.1 minus 24 t, and then t finally solving is equal to, using your calculators, we have 0.84, okay. Now we have answered already the question. We can also put here less than 0.84. This equation can only be used at time interval with the following specifications of the angular velocity given. And the time it takes for angular velocity to be equal to 0 is equal to 0.84 minutes. Now we finally answered the question. Okay, good afternoon. We will be solving page 41, number 9 of your Advanced Engineering Mathematics by C. Ray Wiley. Now, we're given the problem that y double prime plus 3y squared y prime is equal to 0, and that given the initial conditions that y of 1 is equal to 0, y prime of 1 is equal to 0. Now this is second order differential equation, which when applied with the appropriate substitution can be reduced to a first order and then can be treated as a separable one, and then we can find now the general general solution. Now suppose that we let v is equal to y prime. Now so we have the y double prime is our concern here. It will be dy prime over dx. This would be dv dx. Now dv, using the chain rule, we have dv dy times dy respect to x. Finally, this dy dx will be equal to y prime. Therefore, this is y prime. This just be equal to this is equal to y prime, and that y prime is that being equated to v. Therefore, we have v dv dy. Now we have made our goal. We made v being our dependent variable and y, which is stated in the problem as the independent one. Now we can make the appropriate substitution and solve the following second order differential equation. Okay, so let's start. We have y double prime is equal to v dv dy plus 3y squared, and y prime is equal to v, equate to 0. Okay, so let's erase. Okay, now this can be transposed on the side of the equation, equals negative 3y squared v. Now we can cancel the v both sides, and then this becomes now a separable equation. dv is equal to negative 3y squared dy, and now by simply integrating both sides, we have v is equal to negative y cubed plus c. Now your v here is equal to negative y of 1. This is not this following conditions given in the book is y of 1 is equal to 1 and y prime of 1 equals negative 1. Now this one here is when this is equal to y prime equals negative y cubed plus c. Now we have to find the value of c. Okay, first thing is that we use the initial conditions given. y prime equals negative y cubed plus c. So when we try to substitute the following values, we have negative 1 equals negative of 1 raised to cube plus c. So this becomes c equals 0. Therefore, we have c equals 0. We can replace c here by 0, so 9. Finally, we come to a first order differential equation. Now y prime is equal to dy over dx, right? Equals negative y cubed. Now simply we use separable equations, then separate dy over negative y cubed equals dx. Now we have negative, using that one we have negative 1/2 times y to the negative 2 equals x plus c, right? And this c here could be the second c, that is the c2, because we have c1 a while ago, but c1 is equal to 0, that's why it's not it's reflected here. Now we have to find now the value of c2 using again the given initial condition. Now we have y, okay, we have here this negative here and this negative, okay, can be neutralized. So we have 1/2 y to the negative 2 is equal to x plus c2. Now given the following, we have y of 1 equals 1, and then solve. So the value of x will be 1, and 1/2 times 1 raised to negative 2. That could be, then this is c2 now. Okay, then for simplification, we have c2 is equal now to negative 1/2. Okay, so therefore we can write now the general solution of this differential equation. We have 1/2 y to the negative 2 equals x minus 1/2. Okay, so solve for y equals, that be, okay, we can multiply both sides by 2. That is y to the negative 2 equals 2x minus 1, and then we have finally y squared equals 1 over 2x minus 1. Finally, this is the solution of our differential equation. Okay, now we are going again to solve page 38, number 1. Okay, so given is y prime minus y over x plus y squared over x is equal to 0. Now rearrange in the following equation, we get y prime minus y over x equals negative 1 over x, okay, 1 over x times y squared. Now notice that this is a Bernoulli equation. Bernoulli's equation. And we know how to solve Bernoulli's equation, right? So we let some substitutions. Let, okay, u be equal to y raised to 1 minus 2. That is, u equals y to the negative 1. And then we have y equals u to the negative 1. Hence, we have dy equals negative u squared negative 2 du over dx. Now we are ready for the substitution that we're going to make, and then after the substitution, this will be reduced now to linear form. Okay, so let's substitute. Okay, y prime will now be equal to negative u to the negative 2 du dx minus 1 over ux, okay, equals negative 1 over x times 1 over u squared. Okay, so we multiply both sides with negative u squared, and then we get du dx plus u over x equals 1 over x. Now this is now a linear differential equation. Okay, so we are going to use the integrating factor. V equals e raised to integral of 1 over x dx, and thus this is equal to x. Okay, so therefore we have can now erase okay, so we have derivative dependent variable times the integrating factor will be equal to 1 over x times x. This is equal to derivative of ux equals 1. And then we have here 1 times dx. So integrate both sides. We have ux equals, this is equal to ux is equal to x plus c. Okay, now we substitute the formula, the substitution we've had. We have u equals y to the negative 1, then u is equal to x, then it's over y equals x plus c. So we have further simplification. We have y over x is equal to 1 over x plus c, right? So solving for y, we get y is equal to x over x plus c. Now this is the solution for the differential equation given by this form. Okay? Okay, now we will solve now page 28, number 29. Given is dy equals x times 2y dx minus x dy, and solve for that differential equation, and then such that x equals 1 and y equals 4. Okay, so we have here dy equals 2xy dx minus x squared minus x squared dy. Now grouping, we transpose this dy into the left hand side, so we have 1 plus x squared dy equals 2xy dx. Okay, now we have a separable equation, dy over 2y equals dy over 2y plus x dx over 1 plus x squared. Okay, by simply integrating both sides, we can now get the solution of this differential equation. Okay, let's clear this first. Okay, we have when we integrate both sides, dy over 2y equals x dx 1 plus x squared. We integrate both sides, so it will just be equal to 1/2 ln y, absolute value y, because then we let u equals 1 plus x squared, du will be equal to over 2, and this is x dx. This is equal to 1/2 integral of du over u, and this is plus c. Okay, now this becomes 1/2 ln absolute value of y equals 1/2 ln absolute value of, this is 1 plus x squared plus c. Okay, now we try to use the value given x equals 1 when this is y equals 4 when x is equal to 1. So we substitute. Okay, one half ln absolute value of this y is 4 equals 1/2 ln your x is equal to 1, so it's ln 2 plus c. Now we can use here, we can have it here ln 2 using the law logarithms, and this is ln of square root of 2 plus c. Now this is equal to ln, simply we have, okay, we rearrange the following equation. We have c will be equal to ln of 2 minus ln of square root of 2, or simply ln of 2 over square root of 2. Okay, further this is just equal to ln 2 over 2, 2 square root of 2 will be, we rationalize, we have 2 square root 2 square root 2 square root 2, that is equal to ln of square root of 2. Okay, so we can now substitute the c. In our solution, we have 1/2 ln y minus 1/2 equals 1/2 ln of 1 plus x squared plus ln of 2. Now we raise both sides with e, and then we can cancel the 1/2, so that is ln of y is equal to, okay, we raise it both by e exponential, so what was y equals 1 plus x squared times 2. Okay, so we now have the following solution of the differential equation: y is equal to 2. Okay, let's try to check page 41, number 9. We are given with a solution y squared equals 1 over 2x minus 1. Now let's prepare, we have here y equals 2x minus 1 raised to negative 1/2. Now let's have y prime equals negative 1/2 chain rule times 2x minus 1 negative 3/2 times the derivative inside 2. We have negative of 2x minus 1 negative 3/2. This is your y prime. Now your y double prime will be equal to 3 halves times 2x minus 1 negative 5 halves times 2. This is just equal to 3 times 2x minus 1 times negative 5 halves. 5 halves. Okay, that's why you double prime. Okay, now so you take note of the following: the value of y prime and then the y double prime. This is the double prime. Okay, substituting this with the following equation. We have the following equation written in this form: y double prime plus 3y squared y prime equals 0. Okay, so we are going to substitute the value of y prime, the y double prime, y squared, and then the y prime here. So y double prime is just 3 times 2x minus 1 times negative 5 halves plus your y squared is 1 over 2x minus 1, okay, times 3, that is 3, and then your y prime is equal to negative 2x minus 1. I mean, this is outside. Negative x minus 1 raised to negative 3 halves. It's negative 3 halves. Is that equal to 0? Well, if it's equal to 0, then our solution is right. We have 3 times 2x minus 1 negative 5 halves, and this one is just equal to minus 3, then quantity of 2x minus 1 negative 3 halves plus negative 1, so negative 5 halves equals 0. So these all cancel out, and then 0 is equal to 0. Now we prove that our solution in number 9, page 41 is correct. Okay, now let's try page 38, number 1. Okay, the solution we have arrived is equal to y equals x over x plus c. This is equivalent to x times x plus c raised to negative 1. Okay, so we find y prime, which is equal to, we have the product rule, x plus c1, that's negative 1, minus x times x plus c1 over raised to negative 2, and we have y squared equals x squared times x plus c1 negative raised to negative 2. Okay, so take note of the following values of y prime and y squared. We're going to substitute it with the original differential equation and see if it's working. Okay, our original differential equation is given by this equation: y prime minus y over x plus y squared over x is equal to 0. Okay, now time to substitute the following values of y prime and then the value of y also. So y prime is, we have x plus c1 raised to negative 1 minus x times x plus c1 raised to negative 2 minus the y divided by x we have already here, x plus c1 raised to negative 1, and then plus the y squared divided by x, we only left with a single x here, times x plus c1 raised to negative 2 equals 0. Now try to check if it's working. It's equal to 0. This one cancels out. This one also cancels out. So 0 now is equal to 0. Thus, we've proven that our solution in number 1, page 38, with this following differential equation is correct. Okay. Now, let's try also to check number 29 of Ray Wiley book. Now, basically, we have the solution y equals 2x squared plus 2, right? Now, we get dy with respect to x. That is just the y prime. So this becomes 4x, right? Okay. And then, what will your dy be equal to? Dy equals 4x dx, right? Take note of these following values and then try to substitute it with this one. Okay. The original equation we have with our equation is that dy is equal to x times 2y dx minus x dy Okay, so what will be the value of our dy? That is 4x dx, right? 4x dx. Your x times your y is equal to 2 times this one here. This should be a bracket. Okay, times 2x squared plus 2, and this is dx minus x times your dy is 4x dx. Okay, so let's try to see if it's equal to 4x dx. Okay, so we have 4x dx is equal to x times the quantity of, we have 4x squared dx plus 4 dx minus 4x squared dx. Okay, this one cancels out. What remains is 4 dx multiplied by x dx. We're left with 4x dx, and this is equal to 4x dx. Now we have finally proven that our answer in number 29 is correct. Okay, so we have here page 33, number 45. This is actually a proving problem. Now, given is that I have m xy dx plus n xy dy equals 0. The initial condition is that I have this equation which is homogeneous. I have to prove that by multiplying 1 over xm plus yn, m stands for this expression, n for this one, multiplying both terms with this one, I could get a differential equation that is separable and can be directly integrable, and thus I can find the general solution for it. Thus, this one, I have to prove that it's an integrating factor. Now, first step is that I have to make a substitution out of this homogeneous differential equation. Okay, now we let y be equal to ux. Okay, but I will substitute y here, y, and then dy, whichever you like. Since here the context is that I have y, so I will get the derivative dy and this will be equal to u dx, that is this is a product rule, plus x du. Okay, so I have now my substitution values. So I have y equals ux here, and then dy, this one. So if I substitute this one in this equation, it will go like this, x ux dx plus this one is n, we have x ux, then dy equals 0. I haven't substituted the dy in. So if I do, I will factor out the x's. So x m. If I let m stands for this whole, okay, this is one. I'll just show 1, then u, then dx, okay, and then plus x, and then 1 u dy equals 0. If I let that big letter m stands for this whole expression, and big letter n stands for this expression, I can reduce this into x m dx plus x n dy, so that to simplify the equation. Now this one, it's now ready for dy to be substituted with this value. So if I erase, okay, let me erase first. Okay, this one also just be equivalent if I have m dx plus n dy equals 0. The x's might not matter since it's present in both terms. To simplify, I will just be using this kind of expression. Now m dx plus n times your dy is just u dx plus x du is equal to 0. Okay, this one is the value, this is the dy. Okay, so by further simplification and manipulation, I should get m dx plus un dx plus xn du equals 0. Now if you try to look at, you can factor out dx and then transpose this other term, then you'll now have a separable differential equation which goes like this: m plus un dx equals negative x and du, right? And if I separate variables and then group it together, I should get dx over x, right? And then plus n du over m plus un equals 0. Remember that this n and this m, this one also, has the term in terms of u, 1 comma u. So therefore we can conclude and say that this already is a separable equation, and by integrating directly both terms, or even intersposing this one and then integrating both sides, we can now get the general solution of the differential equation by using substitution. Now go back to the argument. We are going to prove that the expression we have before, such this one, if we recall, 1 over xm plus yn is an integrating factor. That could only be an integrating factor if we will multiply both terms of the original homogeneous differential equation, and it becomes integrable. Now, we are going to find a relationship between this one and the product of this factor with the other factor, with the original equation, such that the equation we have had simply be expressed in this language. We have dx over x plus n du over m plus un is equal to m dx plus n dy over xm yn. Okay, notice that I multiply this equation, this integrating factor, by the original homogeneous differential equation. If I do, I must get a function that is separable or directly integrable and can have and we can integrate directly so that we can get the general form or form of the solution. Now, if I equate this with this one, knowing that this is already a separable differential equation, and then by integrating both sides we can get the general solution. If this will be equal to this one, then we can say that this function, when multiplied by this factor, becomes readily integrable. Thus, we can conclude that this factor here, 1 over xm plus yn, is an integrating factor. Now, this one will work on this equation on the left hand side of the equation, so that we can prove that this expression, substituting the value of du originally and the value of u originally before we made substitutions, and further simplifying, will just be equal to this kind of expression. Now, if this is equal, then we can now therefore conclude that this factor is an integrating factor. So we'll work on this side and see if it will equal this equation. Okay, let's start. If I have a dx over x plus n du over m plus un, right? Now, let's solve first for the du. We have dy equals u dx plus x du, right? Now, we have to find the value of du. So du will just be equal to dy minus u dx over x. That is your du. And also, we have the relation y equals ux. Thus, u equals y over x. Remember, in the previous substitutions we've had, you were just going back to the original thing. Now, when we try to substitute, we have dx over x plus, this is just equal to n times 1 over x. You just try to factor the 1 over x there, and then dy minus u. The u is just equal to y over x dx, okay, over m plus your u is y over x n. Okay, see, we've replaced the u's with the corresponding variables that because we've made, we can remember we've made these value substitutions a while ago in deriving this formula. Now, further simplification, you get dx over x plus, okay, so if I factor out 1 over x, I should have x here also, so 1 over x, then xm plus I only will have yn here, and then I should have 1 over x here, okay, I should have 1 over x still here, and then you just cancel out, okay, so if I cancel this out, it just be removed, and then it just be removed to save space, and then we'll have n times dy minus y over x dx, okay. If I have this formula here, I could factor out also the x, so if I erase this one, okay, okay, so we have dx over x now plus 1 over x times, and we have n here, times here 1, then x dy minus y dx, okay, then I have xm plus yn, okay, equal to 0. So it should be clear that if I put the other 1 over x in the denominator, I should have dx over x plus n xn dy minus yn dx over x times xm plus yn, okay, that is equal to 0. Okay, if I combine this term, this one and this one, I should get a more general aspect of this. So we have x m dx, okay, let's begin here, x m dx plus y n dx minus yn dx plus x n dy, okay, over, this one is over x times xm plus y n, okay. Now this one cancels out, and what's left is that x, both x's we factor out, that is equal to 0, okay, and this x will have x times m dx plus n dy over x times xn plus yn equals 0. So we can cancel the x. And what's left is the same expression as if we multiply the original function, homogeneous differential equation, by the said factor that we are going to prove that is an integrating factor. So therefore, since the equation that we derived by using substitution is equal to just the homogeneous differential equation multiplied by this factor, we can now therefore conclude that this factor 1 over xm plus yn is an integrating factor. Now, conclusion, therefore, 1 over xm plus yn is an integrating factor. Is an integrating factor.